Four, please, on the tee from Lewiston, Idaho, Geno Bonnalie, the caddy of Joel Dahmen, the Guinness Book of World Records holder for most birdies in a week, and the ballmaster himself, Geno Bonnalie, coming up on Eyes on Golf. This was a ton of fun. I mean, someone bucket list podcast guest right here, Geno Bonnalie. I know a lot of the stories are out there, but I wanted to hear him tell maybe some of the stories again and also get some of the news stories about full swings, Geno Bonnalie, PGA Tours, Geno Bonnalie, the caddy, Geno Bonnalie, the husband, the father, Geno Bonnalie. We dug really into what makes Geno the person that he is and why he has become such a fan favorite caddy on the PGA Tour working with Joel Dahmen. So that's coming up on Eyes on Golf right now. Geno Bonnalie is in here, or as it says we're doing this in Riverside, as he has posted here, Ballmaster Bonnalie. So I feel like I'm just gracious to be in your presence right now, Ballmaster. Thank you for being with me on Eyes on Golf.
Well, I'm very glad to be here as well this morning.
You're coming to us. Yeah, Geno, I think you said you hopped a fence at TPC Louisiana, not to get you in trouble early in the morning on this Tuesday.
I did, yeah. The security's a little tight around here usually, and I wanted to find a comfortable spot. Excuse the golf carts in the background. But I found a nice place posted up here in the sun, but I have a feeling there's going to be a security guard that boots me out of this secured area here very shortly.
Well, we'll try to do everything. We'll try to get this all in as quickly and efficiently as possible. But you are in TPC Louisiana for the Zurich Classic of New Orleans this week. Obviously, you working with Joel Dahmen, you always got to keep him focused, keep him in line. He's playing with Keith Mitchell this week in New Orleans. Does that add to the coaching of the week and the maintaining the focus for an event like this?
There's a lot of added pressure in this format. And not only is Joel trying to provide for his family, but there's another whole family that we have to think about. So there's just this added level of pressure, and Keith's got a substitute caddy on the bag this week. So I think that's doubling my responsibilities out there on the golf course as well this week.
Yeah, and we can talk about that off the top. Geno, in journalism school, they told me, don't when a subject is promoting a brand, don't ask them about it right away. Get it to the end of the interview. But I'm going to throw that out the window here because I think it's one of the most interesting partnerships I've ever seen. For the second year, you're part of Saks Underwear's Ballmasters. You and now 4 other caddies. You mentioned John Lamonti, who would have been on the bag for Keith Mitchell this week. He's now working, it appears, with Akshay Bhatia, Joel Stock working with Will Zalatoris, Aaron Fleener with JT Poston. And now you've added John Ellis, Wyndham Clark's caddy. I guess it took a U.S. Open for him to join the crew.
Yeah, a couple elevated events and a major championship. That's the minimum requirements to become a Ballmaster. If you weren't in the original gang.
Take me through this partnership because I think it is incredible. Not only watching you act, but obviously you're now an underwear model. How did this all come together for you beautiful men to be a part of this partnership, to get this sponsorship, and to wear this underwear?
I think they were looking to get in the golf space, and it may have originated with Joel being a testicular cancer survivor. I don't know if survivor's the right term. Maybe it is. But it started with him and then just kind of evolved into the caddies, and Joel got kicked to the wayside, and my fellow Ballmasters and I met with them, and it was just a great relationship right from the go. And they're such a good company and a good group of people to work with. And not only that, but they have a great product, and we've had a lot of fun with it thus far.
Yeah, we should mention that you'll be wearing Saks underwear, shorts, polos on the course this year. And you mentioned a little bit about, you kind of alluded to it, $100 will be donated to the Testicular Cancer Foundation for every birdie made by your caddy, by you and your fellow Ballmaster caddies, players this year. So you talk about the added pressure.
Yeah, well, it concerns me for Saks because we might put them out of business with the with the crew that we've got now. A lot of talented individuals, obviously, with Akshay and Wyndham, and well, who else we got? Will Zalatoris, yeah. How about that? And JT
Yeah.
Poston, man. Joel Dahmen, he's stepping up a little bit this week. So no, it's going to be good. There's going to be a lot of money raised for the Testicular Cancer Foundation, so it'll be great.
So that's going to be, we'll see what you guys build with that. Obviously, there's the pressure of, like you said, Joel, Keith working together this week on that. How about the acting of these Ballmasters scenes? I mean, I'm not saying you're Tom Hanks yet. Maybe it's more of a Ben Stiller comedy. Was there any acting coaching, or how did you just go about this whole thing?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a natural by any means, but I don't really being in front of a camera doesn't really bother me. And John Ellis, the newest edition, was so funny because when we were doing the last filming, they were like, "Okay, John, just repeat this line," and they'd give him like 2 sentences, and he could not get through the 2 sentences without messing it up. And then he wasn't able to say certain words, so we had to modify the script slightly for John. But for myself, I don't know. I just don't take it too seriously. It's fun, and I find myself going off script maybe more than I should. It just kind of comes out of me. But I really enjoy it. So maybe my next career will be more of an acting role than a caddy role.
How comfortable are you in just underwear?
Very, yeah. In fact, when they're like, "Okay, go ahead and put your underwear on, and here's a robe," I'm like, "We don't need a robe. I don't care." It's just, I mean, Akshay wears shorts that are short enough that looks like he's wearing underwear all the time. So, but
So John will be very comfortable as he moves into this role.
Exactly. So, no, it's been great.
I want to talk a little bit about your story. Obviously, Netflix has allowed the world to see, not just golf fans, but the world to see a lot about yours and Joel's story. And only so much can get in to that actual Netflix Full Swing series. So I want to go back first a little bit. Do you remember the initial moment that you met Joel?
I don't know if I remember the initial moment. I have some early memories of playing with him. My earliest ones, I was better than him, but to his credit, he was probably only like 10 years old. So I'm a few years older than he is, so I just had age and height and weight in my favor. But other than that, he started beating me very quickly after that age of 10.
And that's important, right? Lewiston, Idaho, Clarkston, Washington. For those that don't figure it out, Lewis and Clark makes sense, right on the border there of Idaho and Washington. And for you, I mean, this Joel kid, this pesky Joel kid's 3-4 years younger than you.
Yep.
Why would you take an interest in a kid like that at that age, around when you guys were teenagers?
I always thought he was fun to play with, so there was never a thought of, "Oh man, maybe someday I can work for this guy." I just enjoyed playing golf with him and being around him, and whenever we would play, it was just almost in awe of him because this little kid who doesn't hit it really that far but still manages to shoot 67 as a 15-year-old or whatever it was. Every single time he teed it up, it felt like it was just everyone in our valley who played golf respected the heck out of Joel and just wanted to be around him. And I remember Joel qualified for the Canadian Open one year off of at the time was the McKinsey Tour and PGA Tour Canada, and it was his first PGA Tour event, and he made the cut and was actually playing really well, and that's when it first started clicking for me. This is before he was even on the web.com tour, Corn Ferry Tour now, that I was like, I think I want to quit my job and go to work for him if this happens. And he showed that he can compete at the highest level, and so I sweet talked the wife into letting me quit my job and make piles of cash out there on the Corn Ferry Tour as a caddy.
That's right. And you had a business degree and completed the professional golf management program, I believe, at the University of Idaho. You did that in 2007, and you didn't start working for Joel until around 2015. So you were working in Seattle. What does it mean you were doing a staffing and recruiting job? What does that mean?
Right out of I was like a headhunter. So I worked with a bunch of different construction companies around the Seattle area to help find project managers and superintendents. And things of that nature. And truthfully, I hated cold calling people and be like, "Hey, Jeff, are you interested in a new position?" You know, it wasn't really for me. And either was just the Seattle area in general. So we moved back to my hometown of Lewiston, Idaho, and I went in to a construction business. I was logistics, like a purchasing person. I made sure all of our job sites just had what they needed to complete the project, and I did that for a while, and then went on to another company from there, and then sitting in a cubicle. And I'll never forget the sweet lady Barb that I sat next to in a cubicle. Uh, she had been with the company for 40 some years and was getting ready to retire. And I just remember thinking, man, Barb has been in this cubicle for 40 some years. I do not want this to be me. And I love Barb, but I had to do something different. So I rolled the dice and asked Joel if I could do what we're currently doing. And this is our 10th season together.
I mean, think about it. You were a headhunter. This was the exact opposite. There was no listing for the job of Joel Dahmen's caddy. You essentially created the job offering.
Yep.
The letter has become something of golf folklore over the last few years. How much can you almost recite the whole thing at this point? What do you remember from it?
Yeah, well, I remember I was sitting in my cubicle when I wrote it, and I just wrote everything that I was thinking and feeling. And when I got done, I read it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect. Like, I think he'll hire me just as long as he reads it." So I waited until the last event when he officially locked up the money list, and I sent it to him. And then like 2 weeks goes by, but I don't hear anything from him. I'm like, man, I don't know what this means. So I was like, hey, I sent him a message. Have you checked your email in the last couple weeks? He's like, no. Like, oh, could you? And so I remember he called and we talked about it. He's like, I don't think this is something that you want to do. You're not going to make any money. I'm like, I know, I realize that, but it is something I want to explore. And he never really told me yes or no. He came back and we went out and played golf, and we're on the very first hole, and he had like it was a windy day, and he hit like a 7-iron from 150 yards, this little chippy one in there. And I was like, man, I was like, I never thought you'd pull seven. And he was like, well, if you're going to caddy for me, you need to, you know, let's get on the same page. And at this time, he still hadn't told me whether or not he was going to hire me. So I'm like, well, is that a yes? Because the first tournament's in like 2 weeks and I have to quit my job. So he was like, oh yeah, if you want to. I'm like, well, damn it. Okay. So that was that. It started in Leon, Mexico, and off and running ever since.
Do you remember what your boss said?
Said in which regard? Oh, my. Sorry, I thought you meant Joel, my boss.
Not Joel.
No, well, I actually I was supposed to go to Germany to visit a customer like this same week, and she was like, "I'm so glad you told me, because if you would have went to Germany, came back, and then quit, I would have killed you." So thank you for saying something. That's awesome. Give it a try. And if you ever needed anything, that she was great. If you never ever need anything, let us know. So it worked out wonderfully.
I'm glad to hear Idaho's doing a lot of business overseas, all the way in Germany.
It was a ammunition manufacturing company. So I transitioned to a logistics person shipping ammo to Germany. I've been all over the place with my jobs.
Around that same time, your wife, Holly, what did she say as you walked out the door for that first Corn Ferry Tour event with Joel?
She was very excited for me. We've always been, do what makes you happy kind of relationship, and she couldn't have been better. So uh, she sent Joel a nice text message, and Joel sent her a great text message. And like, I can't believe we're about to do this. Just two dumb kids from northern Idaho about to embark upon this journey en route to the PGA Tour. And originally Holly and I were going to give it 3 years on the Corn Ferry Tour to see if we could make the PGA Tour. And thankfully we did it in our second year. So.
What would 2024 Geno tell 2015 Geno now about caddying in professional golf?
Man, I don't, just the process of learning everything. don't know if I'd have to tell myself much. That sounds maybe lame, but I've had so much fun along the way and learning about everything and making wonderful friends. Some of my best friends in the world are caddies that I've met along the way. So um, I don't have any regrets about it, how anything has taken place or whatnot. So just keep doing what you're doing, I suppose.
Do
I'm
you
very proud of the way that everything has evolved, and I absolutely love my job.
do you see yourself now as a veteran caddy on the PGA Tour?
It's funny. I don't see myself in that light, but other guys may see me in that light because there are a lot of younger caddies out here, and I feel like the tour is getting younger and younger with the talent level out of college. But no, I still don't put myself in that box.
You don't feel like, you showed up back then 9, 10 years ago asking people where the restroom was or something like that, and now you're the guy pointing out where the range is to
Well,
some of
yeah.
these caddies? Or
I I remember getting so frustrated because I never knew where parking was. A lot of times we park off site, and as a first timer, they might label it lot A, B, C, but as a caddy, that doesn't help me. What lot are caddies in, A, B, or C? So driving around and doesn't seem like volunteers are fully informed all the time. So a lot of driving in circles around the blocks, getting frustrated, but.
what's that? What's the most common misconception about caddy life? What do people not know about what it's like for you guys out there?
I think a lot of people think it's, all expenses are covered and it's just a really luxurious life, which isn't the case at all. You've got two extreme ends of it with, Ted Scott and then basically the other 185 guys on tour. Uh, so yeah, there's times that are rough. We do have a great job. I'm sitting here in Louisiana right now on a beautiful morning and been eating wonderful food so far this week. But we have to be away from our families a lot, and that's really hard. I've got two kids and a wife at home, and haven't seen them in a couple weeks, and all I want to do is truthfully go home, and even if it's for 20 minutes, just be able to hug them, and if I could transport or teleport back and forth, that'd be ideal. But it gets hard sometimes.
One day, maybe technology will let caddies and players commute and
Come on, Elon
transport
Musk.
every morning.
Yeah.
That would be something. But I do want to talk about kind of what you're saying about being a family man and some of the aspects of the job. I think in season 2 of Full Swing we saw, I don't want to say a much more serious Geno, because I don't know if I'm ever going to say that you and Joel are totally 100% the most serious people on earth, but we definitely saw someone who was trying to be a serious friend to Joel, trying to be a committed family man, trying to maintain some of those aspects of life. Did you feel it was a little bit more, the way that you were portrayed perhaps was a little bit more, I want to be the big figure here, big brother to Joel, a husband, and get everything kind of right in my life?
Yeah, I think it was portrayed very well, and as goofy as we are and as much fun as we have, there's still serious things that we need to do and deal with and address. And I think it was just it's hard having those conversations with your best friend though too, and it was definitely in the works. The Netflix stuff, was hard for Joel because Joel put it really well. It was like if the PGA Tour had a hotel and he would be, on the second floor with all of his friends where he's comfortable, and then all of a sudden he's thrust into the spotlight where every round we play in the first two rounds we're in a featured group with Justin Thomas and Ricky Fowler and Tony Finau, playing with all these guys and with huge galleries, and all of them are rooting for Joel, and it was new and it was uncomfortable. Some people would have ate it up and loved it, where Joel wanted to hide a little bit. The golf wasn't what it had been previous couple years, so it just made it uncomfortable, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. But he's in a good place right now. Been hitting the ball fantastic, and we just got to get that little thing in the hole. But I think the mentality has changed slightly, and he's excited to be where he's at, and the support is still there by all the fans. So that makes it nice.
I think that's a good, I've heard you guys get the question so many times in the last year. How are you dealing with the fame? How are you dealing with the fame? What I want to know is almost the opposite. How are you staying focused within the fame? And kind of what you're saying, how do you keep Joel in the zone during an event, almost saying, tune out all these people, forget that, get this pressure off your shoulders just because more people are watching. And let's just focus on playing the same golf courses that we've been playing the last few years.
Yeah, it's Joel. It kind of falls on him himself. 'Cause, as a caddy, you could say that all you want, but ultimately, he's got to tune it out and just go to work. And it does become a lot with people yelling at you all the time. You know what? The smaller crowds are the tough ones. When you're standing on a tee box and there's 2 or 3 guys there, you it doesn't. It's not white noise at that point. You can hear everything people are saying to you, and a lot of times it's positive. But when you're playing poor golf, you don't want some stranger tell you to keep your chin up. You want to turn around and punch them. So, but at the same time, he's a nice person, and he's like, okay, thank you. So it I don't even know if I answered your question. It's difficult at time out there, and you just have to you listen to it and kind of just ignore it and put your head down, and hopefully the next putt goes in.
How about this from your end of being more in the spotlight? You can walk around a golf event and more people are going to recognize you now. You can walk, maybe you show up in the supermarket this week in New Orleans and someone's going to say something, recognizing you from the Ball Masters commercial, or maybe recognizing you from Full Swing, or just watching Joel out there. How do you feel that you carry this a little bit more of a weight, but an ability to spread positivity, to spread some of the positive aspects of your life, like what we saw about you being a family man in the last season of Full Swing, that you do have some more responsibility perhaps than you used to have?
Yeah, I do, and I enjoy it. You can always tell when people are kind of looking at you like side eye, and like, and I'm like, oh yeah, hello, give them a wave. And there was a couple people in the airport in Chicago on the way here. They're like, excuse me, are you Geno? And, take pictures with people. And everyone they're like, man, I love you guys. I'm, Joel's biggest fan. I hear that a lot. And so just to spread that and just keep being ourselves and being nice to everyone. Joel's always so great with the fans. And we both try to just be that way. And take care of the kids out here, because I think it's just such an awesome thing to do. And this week here in New Orleans is actually a great turnout. The spectators here are awesome, and there's always a bunch of youngsters hanging out. So I sign a lot of autographs, both Joel and myself. So yeah.
What's the weirdest place you've been recognized now?
Oh, good question. Let's see. Boy, it's a lot of airports. I feel like there was. Oh, I know where. So we were. I had coming back from. I don't know if it was weird, but coming back from Japan, I had a stop in Hawaii. I had like a 4-hour layover in Honolulu, and I just went into a little restaurant and sat at the bar and ordered. And I was sitting next to this just random gal, and she looked over and she goes, "Has anybody ever told you look like that Caddie?" And I was like, "Which Caddie's that?" And she goes, "Bones. You look like Bones." And I was like, "Oh, no, I've never heard that I look like Bones." She was like, "Do you know who Bones is?" I was like, "I do know who Bones is, yeah." And she's like, "Well, we're big golfers." Her and her husband were there. And we talked about golf. And she's like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm a caddy." She was like, "Really?" So that was a funny story. And then ultimately she was like, "Wait, you're that guy." Yes, I am. So I got Bones for the first time, but that was a very random one. But I do get in some supermarkets. I've got in a Target, stopped in Target before. So, hi, buddy. Sorry. Uh,
You should You
Yeah.
should have just rolled up to Justin Thomas's bag a couple weeks ago. Just, maybe just weaved yourself in.
I considered it. Just go grab it out of the locker room and make him fire me. Be like, Geno, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Well, I know
That's
you say
crazy.
that Joel fires you every week. You're talking about some of that change and you guys being the same people. We did see in full swing. You're on the PJ, Geno. You're up in the private jet. I don't think that's what you expected when you signed on in 2015.
That
What are some of those moments that you're like, I can't believe this is actually my life?
definitely the private jet thing. And I had somebody reach out to me. They seen that scene. They think I fly private, but I definitely do not fly private. I usually sit in 33B. Um, so that one, we do some outings. I do an outing. Oh shoot, I did one the week of Saturday in Augusta for a company, Inspirato Travel Company, and they flew me out to Augusta and did a Q&A with Shane Bacon and sat around, and it was amazing. And they're like, "Oh, we have an extra ticket for Sunday if you'd like to go." I'm like, "Yes, please." Uh, so getting to do stuff like that is special. That has came from Netflix, I suppose, and it's been awesome. Can't
All
believe I
right,
get to.
so you were there Sunday at the Masters. I don't believe Joel has not played the Masters yet. Was that your first time on the grounds at Augusta?
So let me back up. The way I worded that was slightly misleading. There's a place called the Magnolia Club or Club Magnolia, which is like against Augusta, and the place is incredible. There's all you can eat food and drinks, and there's putting greens, and it's just a massive area that was so much fun. So I had a grounds pass, but there was TVs everywhere and shade and air conditioning. I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to leave Club Magnolia. So I actually didn't go onto the golf course. I had the opportunity, but I stayed there and watched it on TV, I guess, like everyone else. But I was kind of there. So,
Well, we
yeah.
hear players say all the time, right? They say, I don't want to go to Augusta even to practice until I get in. Is there a
That's
little bit of that caddy superstition there?
um not for me. No. For me it was more that it was roasting hot that afternoon and I was just very comfortable where I was. I would have loved to have gone out onto the golf course, but I stayed and hung out with the company I was with, and I felt like that was the right play. Uh, but I definitely put in for Augusta tickets every year because that would be awesome.
Well,
I
one
hope
year,
I hope one
hopefully.
day soon I can caddy. That's for sure.
Before your caddying days, 2011. I know last year when you went on No Laying Up, kind of, brought to the surface that at one time you were a two-time Guinness Book of World Records holder for most holes in a week at 2,000, most birdies at 493.
Yeah, and
Now it's
most
just the
birdies in
birdies
12.
record and most
Yeah,
birdies in 12 hours.
I did have that one as well. Yeah, so currently a guy squeaked me by one hole, played 2,001 holes in a week, and claimed that record from me. But I still hold the most birdies made in a week, which uh, not trying to be boastful, but I don't know if that one will get beat.
So the guy who beat your record is a guy named Mick McLaughlin in Australia who played 2001 holes, one more hole than you in
Yeah.
2021. He says, according to the Guinness Book of World Records website, that he reached out to you and received fantastic support. Can you vouch for that?
I mean, he did it for charity, which is awesome. And obviously, I wanted him to raise a bunch of money and fall a little bit short, probably. No, nobody wants to have a record broken, but looking back, I quit a little earlier than I should have. I just got to 2,000 and I was so tired, and I thought it was a cool number just to stop on. I probably had a couple hours of daylight left. So I wish I would have pushed on. But hats off to him because I know what a difficult task that is to accomplish. That's a long week.
Mick raised $219,000 US for Ronald McDonald House Charities when beating your record. Now you raised money for stenosis when
Yep.
when you went for your world record.
I,
Will we ever see you attempt to break the record again?
oh man, there's a lot of people that want me to, and I think we could raise a lot of money for a good cause, especially what social media is nowadays. Um, I don't really want to, but I feel I had it for so long. I feel like it's kind of my record, so I want it back in that regard. But I don't know if I physically could do it anymore. I'd need to probably get on a better workout plan than I did the previous time I did it.
It's for the kids, Geno.
I know. We need to make it work with the PGA Tour schedule somehow. That's another tough thing is, taking a week off of being on the road all the time, going home playing golf for 19 hours a day for a week, and then leaving again. So sorry, wife, I'm going to be home, but I'll be gone, and then I'm going to leave you again. So
Speaking of your family life, I do want to touch on that a bit. That when you're home in Idaho, how much are you touching a golf club, thinking about caddying, and how much are you being a husband and a dad?
husband and dad way more than anything else. I typically sneak out one time during the week uh, that I'm off, but my son gets out of. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, and my daughter goes to a little like play school for a couple hours a day, and then my son's out at 3 o'clock. So if I do play golf, I try to time it to where right after I drop my daughter off for a couple hours, somebody else can swoop her, and I always pick up my son from school. So I need to be done by 2:40 to make it in time to pick him up. So they are definitely my number one priority. But I do try to get out, whack it around with my buddies still once a week.
Do they, especially the 10-year-old, do they understand what you do?
Yeah, he does, and it's funny because kids in his class or the teachers, think that I'm somebody important, and which couldn't be farther from the truth. But Hudson's like, "Oh, Dad, so and so was talking about you today. It was so annoying," and he's my best little buddy, and he just knows me as Dad, and that's all I am is just Dad. So I hope it stays that way, and yeah.
Are
Can I
you
answer
trying
that?
to Yeah, are you trying to put golf in your kids' lives?
No, not it. I mean, if he wants to, like if I go down and want to, sometimes I'll be like, let's go hit some balls or hit some putts because we live just near a golf course and he likes to go do that. I don't force it on him at all, though. Uh, I do think it's important to be outside doing something, though. So if he gets a little lazy and has been playing video games or something, I'm like, nope, shut those off. We're going outside. We'll kick a ball or go hit balls or just something. He's a kid that likes to take things apart and see how they work and uh, spray paint bugs out in the driveway and things like that. So as long as he's outside enjoying life, being a kid, getting some vitamin D from that sun, I think that's most important.
We saw from Full Swing Holly not afraid to voice her opinion on how to handle Joel and everything along those lines. How supportive has she been of your career over this last decade, and how much does she continue to push you to be a better person?
Um, very, very supportive of me. She is the best. If I always tell people, if we were in switched shoes and she was in my role and I was in hers, I would 100% make her quit and come home because I could not do what she does. She works a full-time job and has 2 kids, and I'm out, gambling at Harrah's in New Orleans, eating great food and drink and getting to be on podcasts and just loving life. Meanwhile, she's got a 3-year-old screaming at her that she wants to wear a princess dress to school and trying to get a comb through her hair and make her eat. And, she's got a lot on her plate. So I definitely could not do what she does. And she is always supportive and she's the best.
How have you tried? How have you learned? We talked about the advice that you would give yourself as a caddy 10 years ago. What advice would you give yourself as a husband 10 years ago?
Oh, that's, it's, I've never really talked about this with anyone. It's tough as a person who travels all the time, when you go home, when I'm on the road, I do whatever I want, whenever I want, responsibly, but I'm on my own schedule. I eat what I want. And when I'm at home, it takes me a day or two. And I think I can speak for a lot of caddies to get back into that home mindset. With the time difference and stuff, you feel tired, and man, it's tough to put yourself second immediately. It usually takes me a couple days to get back. My wife's always like, "You're not very nice the first like 2 days you're home," and like it's nothing that you did. It's just a route. It's different for me, and it's a routine change. So I feel like I need to make a conscious effort to just be better when I go home, be a better person when I go home in those first couple days. And it's something I'm still working on. Uh, we have a great relationship, and she just knows that I'm going to be a jerk for 24 hours after I'm home. And I don't know why it's that way, but it is. And man, verbalizing that now, like, man, I'm a bad person. But
No, I'm asking partly, Geno, because I always tell people if my career takes off and I'm on the road with you guys broadcasting events, then I'm going to have to deal with, a similar lifestyle and trying to understand. I think people in the traveling circus of golf are always trying to figure out how to be better human beings, how to be better husbands, fathers, whatever it may be. And I think I also want to talk about, so in Netflix, in full swing, obviously you are pushing Joel to see whether it's a sports psychologist, a life coach. I know that was a little bit of a gray area. We only saw what we saw on camera. Did you find that individual just through Instagram? How did this all come to be?
so the Joel is working with somebody right now, and I think he's great, and they have a wonderful relationship. It is not the same person that you saw on Netflix that I was talking to. That person is great, and I still communicate with him on a fairly regular basis. But Joel found his own guy that he's comfortable with. Uh, he works with some other tour players, and they've been in communication now for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months probably. Uh, and they meet, I think, at least once a week. I don't ask him too much about that. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of his thing that belongs to him. So I let him do it, and he shares with me some stuff that they talk about, and maybe some stuff that they're working on. But I just kind of let that be his thing. So yeah.
I think men talking about therapy is something that we're all trying to normalize a little bit more in the world, and I think that you showed that ability to go to Joel and say, "Hey, I think you need to talk to someone." I know Joel's reaction was go get hired by someone on Live, but obviously at the eventually it appeared to work out. Mustering up sort of the courage to obviously tell your best friend, but also your boss, have that conversation. How much did that take that we didn't see on camera?
It was emotional, and just saying the words, choked me up.
Hmm.
But I felt like it was important because he just wasn't in a good place, and when he's not in a good place on the golf course, I wasn't in a good place on the golf course. So it was just kind of a sad situation for a while, and I just felt like he needed to talk to somebody, and I wasn't the person that he needed to talk to. I'm always an open ear, but I'm no professional at it, and probably wouldn't give the best advice. So it's like, hey, just talk to somebody and tell them what you're feeling, and see if we can right the ship, so to speak. So, and it's been going great. He's had a wonderful attitude on the golf course. He's been hitting the ball fantastic. As long as we can make a few putts this week and in the upcoming weeks, I think it's still going to be a good season.
I want to go to a lighter topic, something that you did get fired from. The Idaho Vandals mascot that you were at one point in college. How did you end up becoming, I believe it's Joe Vandal? How did
It
that
is.
all come
It is
together?
Joe Vandal. Let me see if I've got a. Oh, it's. I've just got my Vandals yardage book cover here. I have another one with the picture of Joe on it. But it was in our fraternity that it just kind of got passed down from one generation to the next within our fraternity. And one of the guys was getting ready to graduate and needed somebody to do it. And I'm goofy and outgoing, and the costume fit. So I was like, I'll do it. So I suited up, and truthfully, it was kind of a miserable experience. Intoxicated people at football and basketball games punching you in the face, and I was telling people that the costume was so hot, and the head was huge, and right inside the mouth was this little 9-volt battery operated fan just to keep the air moving inside my head. But it didn't have a cover; it's just blades spinning right here. So guys would punch me, and then the fan would hit me in the mouth, and I
Oh.
remember one day bleeding. I could taste the blood, but I couldn't do anything because I couldn't get my hands up inside the head really to take it off. So it was not a fun thing. But I got fired from that also. Somebody asked if they could put the suit on and do the second half of our last home basketball game of the season, and I was so hot, and I think we were getting blown out. And so I went behind the bleachers and stripped down and gave him the suit. I think he may have been intoxicated. He ran behind the opposing team's bench and was smacking guys in the back of the head. But I didn't know that had already taken place. But somebody called me later and let me know that happened, and then I was no longer welcome to be Joe Mandel.
Did you at least get paid for that job?
Nope, complete volunteer. Yeah, it was miserable. I'm like, I don't care that you're firing me. What am I losing? So I don't know if that's still in our fraternity or not. We might have lost that privilege. Sorry,
Are
same
you
guy.
are you welcome back now as a prominent Idaho alum, or do some people remember that within the organization?
That's a good question. I have not been back. It's always a goal. A lot of my buddies still go to homecoming and go tailgate some football games because most people are still kind of in that University of Idaho vicinity. But I haven't been back in a lot of years, and it's always a good time when I am able to get up there, though.
Coming from Lewiston, Idaho, where you live now, there is not a big Lewiston airport. You've talked about this a little bit, but what is the process like for you to get from home to get to a golf tournament?
It's kind of a lot. Typically, it's go to Lewiston Airport, who has an Avis rent a car, and Sunday afternoon, I usually pick up a car and use a one-way rental and drive it to Spokane, Washington. I usually leave my house around 1:15 in the morning, which is awesome. Uh, Catch a 5 o'clock flight from Spokane to Denver, and then generally from there I can get anywhere in a decent amount of time from Denver. But just recently, in the last few weeks, Lewiston, Idaho got themselves a 5:30 a.m. departure on United to Denver. So I've been
Wow.
able to take that, which is huge. So now I've got a Sunday night flight in to Lewiston and an early Monday morning out when I want it. It is rather expensive, though. So
You got to play
uh,
better.
yeah, exactly. That's always the key, right? Just play better, and it solves all your problems. I need a caddy
I mean,
better.
they should call that like the Geno Bonnalie, special flight. It seems like they added that because you've been talking about your whole process of travel.
I know. I actually sent a message to the airport commission board and just thanked them because that is so huge for me. I know a lot of people don't want to get up at 5 for a 5:30 flight, but for me, it's such a game changer.
You're in New Orleans right now. It's still early in the week, Tuesday morning. Do
Yeah.
you have any New Orleans memories that you can share on a program like this
Oh,
as things that might happen when the PGA Tour comes through?
there's nothing, no crazy good ones. My favorite thing here last year, there is a really cool go kart track right across the street from the golf course. And last year, we went out with the Netflix crew and got in these go karts, and they fly. And I think they gave Joel the fastest one though because I couldn't catch him, and I think he may have even. I was like the second fastest time, and he lapped me. Uh, so that was one of the most fun things we've done. Joel's done one of those airboat or fan boat, I don't know what you call them, tours through some of the swamps here, a gator tour. I haven't gotten to do that yet, but there's a lot of fun stuff to do around here. So I think we're going to drag Keith Mitchell and his caddy out there this week, and maybe the wives, and see if we can get ourselves a little race. look forward to that.
Sounds like Joel is the Scotty Scheffler of go-karting
He
last
is
year, just
very
lapping
fast.
everyone.
Yeah, the back in the BMW days on the Corn Ferry Tour, we went out to the BMW facility in Greenville as well, and we got to drive M3s out there, and Joel was crazy fast at that as well. So, secret great driver in Joel.
You mentioned recently the Longhorn Steakhouse trips that you and Joel would go on when you played well on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yes.
Now you're in the private jet, so it's a little bit different.
Hey, now
But
don't be spreading that rumor.
but Geno, what do you almost miss about those Corn Ferry days? I know money was slim, but what do you think back to and the
That
things that you miss about it? The humility.
I always go back to the accommodations and how many guys we would put in a room. We'd do 4 guys with 2 beds, and somebody'd sleep on we'd pull the mattresses down, and 2 guys would sleep on box springs, and the other 2 would sleep on a mattress on the floor. And low score gets the mattress for the next night. And doing things like that are in the moment feel terrible, but those are the memories that you make. And traveling with Joel too, we stayed together pretty much every week. Uh, and just doing stupid stuff and not being able to afford things and staying at Red Roof Inns and just having our stupid little bets that we would make. And, I bet you $1 that this happens. And that stuff doesn't really happen anymore. Uh, we have a good time, but you always hear that you don't know you're in the good old days until they're gone.
You obviously on the PGA Tour kept up some of those caddy accommodations videos, and we talked about it before we started. I went to Mamaroneck High School. I was the captain of the Mamaroneck varsity golf team.
Amazing.
And Wingfoot Golf Club is right in Mamaroneck, New York. And I see this video pop up when you go viral for the first time at, I believe you called it the Mamaroneck or something like
Mamaroneck
that.
or Mamaroneck.
Mamaroneck.
Sorry
Hotel,
about
motel. We have an idea of where you stayed. My family, my friends. We don't know anyone that had ever stayed there before. What happened first of all, what happened that week that you lost your previous room? And then how did you watch that go viral?
It was kind of funny. So at a previous major, I had an Airbnb guy cancel on me the day before I was supposed to get there. And then I ended up having to rent this house that was crazy expensive. It had no furniture in it, and it was a kind of a miserable stay. So I flew into Newark that particular week, and as soon as I touched down, getting ready to go straight to the house, I get a message from the Airbnb host saying, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I have to cancel your reservation." And I was like, "Absolutely not. I have the address and I'm coming there right now. There's nothing that is going to prevent me from staying here." And she was like, "We actually had like a structural emergency." She was like, "Can you give me a 1 day?" And I was like, "Oh, if you're willing to I'm willing to postpone 24 hours, but I'm not going to, rent a place for the whole week." So I was like, "That's fine. It must be legit." So I got on Priceline or Hotels.com or something and just found the cheapest place in close proximity. And I called them, and the guy that answered the phone is like, $100 cash. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So made my way there, opened the door, and I was like, it's a little suspect, but fine. Threw my stuff on the bed, went to dinner, came back, and that's when I started really looking around the room like, oh, this is not good. And I went into the bathroom, and I think the sink almost fell onto the floor out of the wall. And, we've got some bullet holes and bleached out carpet and all sorts of stuff there that you may have seen in the video. And then I remember I recorded the video really quick and I sent it to a couple buddies. And I was like, should I post this on social media? And they were like, absolutely, yes. So I did. And then I remember like Scott Van Pelt like commenting on it. And I was like, wait a minute, how has SVP seen this? And it kind of just blew up. The next day at the course, everybody wanted to talk to me about my accommodations. So it was kind of funny. I think Jordan Spieth even came up to me. He's like, dude, that hotel you're staying in is disgusting. I'm like, you know my name? So but I was off and running from there, I suppose.
Well, I guess we need an update. You talk about Jordan. Obviously, you're Joel Damon's caddy. You have applied for the job of Rory McIlroy's caddy.
Yep.
Is there a status on that job application?
No, I haven't seen Rory in a long time. We don't really play on the same tour as those guys anymore. He's here this week though with Shane. So, uh, unfortunately, I think he and Harry have a really good relationship and best friends forever. So I don't think my odds of landing that job anytime soon are good. But that's all right. I'll stick it out with my man for a bit here.
Assuming you stick it out with your best friend, since going back to your childhood, Joel Damon. Where do you guys want? Where do you see things going? What is a peak form of Joel's happiness, his career, his golf, your guys, everything together? What are you shooting for right now?
Ooh, that's a great. I think the ultimate goal would be to it's always to make the tour championship. We've got some work to do to get there this year, but I do think there's this level of satisfaction in just playing good and keeping your card every year. We always want to be to do as well as we can, but finishing 75th in the FedEx Cup and keeping your job year after year is pretty darn good. I know a lot of guys want to win every major, and I still don't think that's Joel's ultimate goal. Uh, he wants to be comfortable and be happy, and I'm okay with that because it provides us a lifestyle that we enjoy. We get to do what we love. Uh, Granted, there is the Netflix added pressure of people want to see you do great things, but medium things out here are still pretty good. So that's kind of a lame answer, and people might be disappointed that I said that, but it's what it
No,
is.
because Gino, I want to follow up with this because I tell people about Joel, and this is what watching Joel on Netflix, right? Obviously, he's dealt some things with his family in the past, with his mother's passing, with him himself having testicular cancer. And I think you see all of the money being thrown around the golf world, all of the things happening in the golf world. And Joel strikes me as someone who just wants to play the highest level of competitive golf he can and have fun while doing it out there with his best friend on the bag, with some of his best friends that he gets to play with. Keith Mitchell this week, he gets to do all these things, and it puts a lot of life in perspective watching you and Joel together. Is that how you feel about Joel's demeanor out there?
Very much so. Yeah, just I mean, Joel's well off. He doesn't need to make 20 million a year uh, to be happy. He's got a great life and a great family, and you know, as a recent dad, his son's now about a year and a half old, and he loves being a dad and just wants to spend time with his kid. And when his kid grows up, be an upper class family that's able to do what they want to do, and he's earned that, and he's very happy with it.
Where you this year on the PGA Tour, what's the site you're most looking forward to the rest of the year?
Zurich Classic of New Orleans.
Stay in the
This
moment.
this is a really fun event. The team aspect, there's an added layer of pressure there, as I alluded to earlier. But when you have an 8-footer in a normal event, it's just like obviously we're trying to make it. But there's almost like when you 8-footer out here, man, we don't want to disappoint Keith if this doesn't go in. So it's almost we kind of crank up the try a little bit, which could be a good thing this week. We need to crank up the try.
Good practice to get Joel in that headspace too, going forward as we get into the meat of the year. For you, Geno Bonnalie, your own career. Obviously, you want to be on the bag for Joel, but what mark do you want to make on golf and on some of the fans that have especially started to follow you since Netflix?
Boy, I've never really had something that I'm like, man, this is the mark that I want to leave on golf. I guess I view it as more of a selfish thing, um, just to have fun and be nice. Oh, I take that back. No, I always want to just be nice to people. I think there's a lot of guys who will ignore people that are wanting some attention from them, and I'm not good at doing that. I'm not good at saying no. I'm very much a people pleaser, and you know, I think that's okay. I'd probably need to be better at saying no to things, but if it makes somebody happy, if I give them, 15 seconds of my attention, then I'm going to try to do that with as many people as possible. So,
Do the fans say more personable
yeah.
things to you now as you're signing autographs and right up against the ropes?
Yes, very much so. Just because, I think opening up the home life like we did in Netflix, and being a little bit active on social media, people get to know your personality and some things about you a little bit more. So yeah, they do say things, and that makes it more personable, and might be able to have a conversation with a stranger immediately, and that already having that knowledge of some of my personal details.
And Geno, how much are the Netflix cameras with you guys this year?
I don't know how much they're going to be with us for season 3. We did a couple things at the Players Championship, and I think they're here this week. I don't know if they plan on following us or not. Just kind of have to wait and see. I don't know what their drawing board looks like for Team Dahmen for season 3. We've already given them so much that they might just be tired of us. To be honest, America might be tired of us.
I don't believe that. They're not tired of you, and they're not tired of looking at your underwear now. We mentioned at the top, Saks Underwear. That's your partner now going forward, you and the 4 other ball masters. As we've had this conversation, anything else that you want to talk about what you guys will be doing? I know, I guess you have to wear Saks Underwear now. You're sponsored out there, not just Joel, when you're caddying every week.
Right. In fact, Joel asked me, he's like, hey, my underwear are getting old. Can you get me some Saks? So I actually need to get on him or get on it and get him some underwear in these next couple weeks. We're doing some cool stuff out there. People can sign up to be an honorary ball master, which comes with a year supply of undies and a bunch of other cool stuff. I'll send the link to you. Maybe you can post it with the video.
Of course, yeah.
A long URL to sign up. So we'll do that with some fans. And then at the Travelers, we're all staying together and getting a house, and are going to be doing a bunch of stuff with the patrons out there the week of Travelers. So that'll be a lot of fun. It's just a great group of people, and their product is truthfully awesome. I would, even if they didn't give me free underwear, I would definitely pay for these.
Geno Bonnalie, Joel Stock, John Lamonti, John Ellis, and Aaron Fleener. Those are your ball masters. Also, for every birdie that one of their players makes the rest of the season, $100 will be donated to the Testicular Cancer Foundation. And like Geno said, you can become a ball master as well. You can join them. And Geno, I'll definitely be on the lookout for everything you guys are doing when you come to the Northeast for the Travelers Championship. But this week, you're focused on New Orleans.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be a good week here. My testicles are gonna be nice, cool, and we're gonna make a lot of birdies and have Saks donate.
You got the tagline down exactly. Geno, thanks so much. Go have fun out there this week.
You're awesome. Thanks so much for the time, Jeff.
Thanks so much to Geno taking the time. If you were watching on video at TPC Louisiana, early 8 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday morning. He did that, getting up for us before Joel got to the golf course. The guy works hard. And of course, with Harrah's and all, and Bourbon Street and everything around in New Orleans, still made the time for us. So really appreciate Geno doing that. Thank you to all for listening. I'll thank my parents, my dad. I've been using, if you're watching on a video, I used his office, moved some things around. Didn't think I needed his member guest trophies, or I think some golf participation trophies in here. So I moved some things around. So appreciate that. Appreciate my guys, the production team, Tyler and Sam here. They did some awesome help with the research to get us ready for this interview with Geno. So until then, follow, subscribe, do what you need to do. Eyes on Golf at Jeff Eisenband, and we will see you next time.